Hey friends, Jill here. Welcome back to the farm. It is a stunning Sunday morning. It's already in the 60s and it's pretty early, so you know it's gonna be a good day. But yesterday I went out and I harvested some of my pink charm narcissus, and these are absolutely stunning. But today we have got our first snapdragons ready in the tunnel to be harvested. So I am super excited about this. This will be our overwintered flowers that we planted, gosh, back in the fall. And we have our first blooms. We are taking these to sell them. So that's real exciting too. We no longer sell produce anymore, and we kind of took a couple seasons off of just like not selling anything. But now we're really trying to make our way into the cut flower world. And so we are gonna be selling our first flowers. It's going to be the snapdragons in the tunnel. We kind of have a schedule set up, so I'm going to walk with you guys kind of what that looks like for us and how we're kind of making do. We don't have a walk-in cooler or anything like that, so that presents some challenges, but we're trying to figure it out. So I have a couple of these buckets already down in the tunnel. I am going to go ahead and take this one because I do have a few more narcissus that need to be harvested. I've got my tool belt here, and this thing is worth its weight in gold. And so there's my Sharpie, my knife, my pruners. I've got my rubber bands here to do bundles, and then my phone would go right here, but my phone's dead, so it's staying inside. Oh, and let's not forget the most important thing that we are taking down to the tunnel would be my lovely cup of joe. So let's head down there and let's get busy. It's going to be such a good day. If you are a grower if you grow your own food for your family, that's so satisfying, like it feels good. But for me, like, I love growing food to take to market, and I love growing things to take to market, like knowing that it is just going beyond my family and it's going to the community. And so when I woke up this morning and I knew we had snaps to harvest in the high tunnel, I just had like this rush of energy. I get so stinking excited. It's not even funny. So it's gonna be such a good day. Another thing I am super excited about is Nathan is going today to pick up the big thing that we bought this last week for the cottage garden. So that's exciting. I cannot wait to show you guys what that is. I am gonna take a stop over here. We had some new tulips pop up, so I want to kind of see what that variety is, what it looks like. I'm taking very detailed notes of all the different varieties that we're growing this year. And then something else too that I'll show you guys, because I do think that this is really beneficial. All right, so I snuck in here to the garden where it was a bit shadier. Oh, there's a nice little spider on the back of that petal. All right, so here is what I want to show you guys. So this is, so narcissus is like the fancy name for a daffodil, but this is what this is. It's a daffodil. It's the pink charm variety, which is by far my favorite. This thing is stunning. So this right here, this stage is where I would harvest if I was just cutting it to put it in a bouquet, you know, in my house. Or even if I just wanted to leave them blooming outside. I probably, like most home gardeners, would probably harvest it this size. Me, because if I want it to have like really long vase life, I'd probably harvest it a bit before. Then there's also this stage where it's fairly open. You could harvest it at this stage and you're gonna get a little bit longer vase life than if you harvested it at this stage where it's completely fully open. But if you are taking these to market and you're selling them, this is one of the bad things I think about being a flower farmer, is you never get to see your flowers in full bloom. For the most part, you're always cutting them before they've bloomed because you want to get them to consumer and you want them to have their longest shelf life. And so for a daffodil, you guys can see the green is fully wrapped around this. And so that is when I would harvest them to take them. Now I could harvest it like this. I could stick them in the fridge and they last, you know, I could stick them in the fridge for about a week and then take them. And then they would open, they'd stay closed while they were in that, you know, cool environment. And then you'd still have a really long shelf life. So that's one of the things about daffodils that I think is really cool, is you can kind of manipulate the timing a bit. But even if I harvested it like this on, you know, a Wednesday, stuck it in the refrigerator, delivered it on a Friday, she's gonna have these, you know, say her consumer buys them over the weekend, they're still gonna get well over a week and a half face life from this daffodil. which I think is really, really cool. So if you are wanting to grow flowers to sell, or, you know, something like that, the stage that you harvest them in is crucial. What I'm going to be doing, because I like to really nerd out on this stuff, is I'm going to be keeping a notebook. And so I've got, you know, a photo of this, when I harvested it, how long it lasted, like how long until it bloomed. Then once it did bloom, how long did it last? One that was kind of open, and then one that was fully open. And I'll be taking detailed notes just to give myself a better idea. We're not selling any daffodils this year, but I do see a space for this in the future. These are stunning. They're really easy to grow, super easy to plant. And so I really just want to know my stuff before I dive into it. And so that's kind of how I'm doing that, is just keeping these detailed notes on here. I do think it's really important, even for a home gardener, if you're just wanting to max production and you want to have beautiful cut flowers for your table, for your friends, for your family. Take those notes, figure out how to do it efficiently in the way that it's going to last the best. I will tell you a little tidbit about the daffodil that I just recently found out. So I harvested some of my daffodils and I threw them in a mason jar with some of my tulips. And my tulips had already bloomed, but they hadn't been bloomed for very long, so I figured I'd have a pretty decent shelf life on them. And I mean, within like a day, they start wilting. They're just like immediately dropping petals and just died. And I thought, that is odd. So after talking to a friend, I was given some very valuable information. So let's see if I can show you guys here. All right, so I'm not sure if you guys can see very well, but this daffodil has this sap. It's really gooey when you cut it. I'm trying to see if I can't find a better shaded spot. And so when I actually cut it and I had it this way, I could see it had kind of gotten on. Well, you can see here, like it's sticking to it. See? There's this nasty sap. So this sap is actually super toxic to other flowers, and it will cause flowers to wilt and die if you put them in the same vase. So eventually you can put them in the same vase, but first you have to stick the daffodils in their own vase and let the water pool all of that sap out of it, and then it's safe to move. But if you directly go cut your daffodils and you cut another flower and you put them in an arrangement, they will kill all the other flowers. Which is kind of wild, but that is a good fact to know. So there is my fact of the day that is going to help you if you are growing daffodils and wanting to market these, or even if you're just growing them for your own kitchen table. Don't kill your other flowers. Hi, I'm Jill, and I am guilty of doing just that. It is super bright out here right now, but I did want to show you guys these. Look at these little ruffled edges. How fun is that? I did have a new variety of daffodil though. This is called the Replete. You guys can see, I mean, there's a lot of texture there. I'm really feeling this one as well. I told Nathan I was going to harvest flowers this morning. And he'd asked, for you or what? And I was like, no, like I'm harvesting these to sell. And he kind of cut me those eyes, and I was like, babe, I think this makes me an official flower farmer. Is this what this means? If so, I'm here for it. I need to check on some stuff in here. We've actually been trying to leave the sides down. Ooh, it's toasty. So super warm in here today. I may raise the sides some, but the idea is to really get this greenhouse hot. We've had so much weird cold weather lately that all of our stuff is really behind. And so how we are hoping to fix that problem is to keep it about 85 degrees in here to where our stuff starts growing quickly. I don't know that it's 85. I don't actually have a thermostat in here. I should. But the idea is to just kind of get it cooking so our stuff starts growing. So far though, stuff's looking pretty good. Zinnias, so that's nice. Our basil's really, really small, way smaller than I would like for it to be. And then we just planted here back of sunflowers, and so none of that has started to sprout yet. But I'm going to give this all a good water real quick so you guys can see. It's a little dry, and then we'll head to the high tunnel. All right, now let's go cut some flowers. All right, so you guys can see these beautiful snapdragons behind me. So ideally you want to be harvesting your flowers either early in the morning or later in the evening, just so they're not wilting and things like that. We rarely ever harvest our flowers in the evening. We usually try to get up early and get it done, and although you guys can see the sun is out, it's not really hot right now. But in the summertime, when it does start getting super hot, we'll just get up like before the sun comes up and come out here and do this, which is what we did with our sunnies. So for us, we're bundling these kind of based on the type of flower that it is. So like the sunflowers are a lot bigger, so we'll bundle those in groups of 5. When we do our status and our yarrow, you know, those are fillers. We bundle those in groups of 20. I think with the snapdragons, we're going to bundle those in groups of 10. The kind of an idea that we like to just like think about is it needs to be bouquet size. And so we're not actually making any arrangements. Which is kind of different. So some farms are growing flowers, they're making arrangements and they're selling them, or if they are selling them, they're selling the actual arrangements to a place and they're just reselling them. We are actually just selling the flowers, selling the stems, taking them to the farm stand, and then Kim and her team are making arrangements out of them. So for me personally, I like this. Arranging bouquets can be tricky, especially if you haven't done it before. I started dabbling last year. I'm going to dabble again this year. But it is certainly a skill and an art form, and it is one that I have not quite mastered. Now, to, you know, cut some flowers and put it on my own table, sure, I feel equipped enough to do that. But when you are marketing bouquets and selling them, you kind of have to know what you're doing a little bit, and especially if it's not just like one flower. If you're just doing a bouquet of tulips, yeah, that's easy. You're just going to cut 6 tulips, sell them. But when you're trying to arrange a lot of different things, it can be kind of tricky. And so that's one of those things that I don't feel skilled in. So the fact that we're just selling her the stems and she's making the arrangements, I totally love. All right, so you can see these behind me. We did have a hard time this year with all of the flowers in the tunnel, honestly, and I'm not sure if part of it was just variety. So we have the variety that we planted at the front of the bed did absolutely nothing. Then we have this middle section, and you guys can see behind me, I mean, like we're pretty good here. When you're cutting snapdragons, obviously with any flower, this really doesn't matter if it snaps or not, you want to get the, like, you want them long, at least like 18 inches if you can. So some of these are starting to break though. These are just for my house, by the way. I'm just going to cut some of these for my house to kind of show you guys. You want to try to get a long stem. You're also going to strip them, so you'll just strip the bottom. But ideal for harvesting snaps is, you see these little florets on here? You want no more than like 2 or 3 of these opened. It's kind of what you're going for. And if they're like kind of closed like this and about to open, that's really perfect. And so what we have kind of figured out for us is a schedule. So we are farming with our friends. We're trying to work around everybody's schedule. We're trying to figure out what's going to work best for everybody. And so I'm going to be harvesting beginning of the week. We're going to harvest all the snaps, whatever it is, you know, ready at the time. I'm going to put them in these buckets. I'm going to stick them in my laundry room. We've got a room off of our laundry room that's a dark, cool place. I'll keep them in there. And then Sean or Melanie one will come later in the week on Friday, do a harvesting. They'll grab all my flowers from Tuesday and they'll take them to Kim to market. So we're harvesting essentially right now just twice a week to take it. And then when the summer starts ramping, we'll probably have to do deliveries twice a week instead of just on Fridays. But I think that that's how we can get by with it. We're looking at buying like a cheap refrigerator to put these in there. Walk-in coolers can get really, really expensive. And so that's one thing too, that when I talk to a lot of people wanting to jump into flowers, I'm like, do it. I mean, it brings me so much joy. I think it's just this whole another aspect of farming that I didn't really know anything about, that I really enjoyed exploring and learning. But then there are some cost things that come involved with that. You know, aside from like the seed that you'll need to plant them, having a market to sell them, because it's not like if you've got extra produce, you can just like put up that produce, right? You can can extra tomatoes. You can easily do things with that extra produce. If you're stuck with extra flowers, they're just going to waste. Like there's no way to repurpose or reuse a flower if you're not selling them and you're just stuck with a bunch of them. But then some of the costs, thinking about a walk-in cooler, some of these have to be cooled. Then you have some that if you put them in a cool place, they're going to wilt and completely die. And so you do have a few more hoops to jump through, if you will. And so one of the things that I like to tell anyone when they're getting started with flowers is find one flower to grow and really learn and grow and master that one thing. And so for me, that was the zinnia. There are so many different options of zinnias. When I really wanted to start jumping into flower farming, I grew a boatload of zinnias, and I did not plan on selling any of them. That was not my intention. My intention was strictly to grow to learn, and I did, and I learned everything I could possibly learn about the zinnia. And then I felt good, I felt like I had some knowledge around it. I felt equipped. I knew when to harvest, how to harvest. I knew how to pinch them. I knew how to trellis them. Like I felt like I don't want to say master because I don't know that we'll ever really master anything, but I felt really accomplished in my knowledge with the zinnia. So then I moved on and we did sunflowers, and like I learned everything about sunflowers, how to cut them, when to harvest them, what they need to look like, how long they're going to last, all of these things. And so this year, I think we're adding on the most that I've ever added on at once, but we are farming with someone who has farmed flowers before, so I do kind of have a leg up in that regard. But really this idea of like go big or go home, we got to like get out of that mentality. We really need to start small and learn and grow with our knowledge as we begin to learn and grow. And so that's kind of like my advice that you didn't ask for. But we have to just like start realizing that there's value in starting small. There's value in growing your knowledge before you try to market something. There's value in just learning. And if you just grow flowers because you love to grow flowers and you don't ever plan on selling them, that right there is worth growing flowers. I think that's really, really valuable. All right, I turned my hat on backwards so you guys could see my face, and that means it's getting serious. It's getting serious in here. So one thing I want to show you guys and tell you that I didn't realize, and then I started, doing research. I want to know as much as I can about the flowers that I'm growing. And granted, we are growing a lot more varieties than we are in the past. And so I've just been researching here, researching there. Now there is a technical sciencey name for this that I'm not even gonna lie to you, I have no idea, but I'm gonna show you guys the gist of it. So you guys can see this snapdragon. We go down and then all of a sudden, let me strip the leaves, I'll show you. We start getting, oh man, I broke it. We start getting really wonky in the stem. So we were straight, and then we went and completely curved and went wonky. Apparently, that is a thing with snapdragons. And so they tell you that when you have your buckets to harvest in, make sure they're tall. Because if it's not tall and they stay in the buckets for too long, they will start to form to whatever it is that they are in. So where that snapdragon started to curve, it was curving to my bed, to the side of my bed. And so there's a couple of them that did that. They were growing nice and tall. And then when they saw that bed, because it's whatever it is, I'm a really good teacher, right? I'm using terms like that make no sense. I could probably do some research and pop it in here and tell you guys the technical term for it. But essentially it contours to whatever it is. So we were straight, it hit the bed, so then it naturally started to turn. So that is good information if you're gonna be, say I'm harvesting these on a Tuesday, they're not going to market until a Friday. I need to make sure that I've got a long enough, straight enough bucket that they are in that it's gonna stay straight and not curved, because that is a nightmare when you're making bouquets. We've even had sunflowers before that stems weren't straight and we weren't able to sell them. And so that's very much so a thing too, is a lot of these we'll be trellising just to try to ensure we have straight stems. This one's pretty perfect. Check that out though. These are pretty stunning. So this is fine. It has a little bit of a contour, but I think it's fine. So I am harvesting some of these just for my own kitchen table, because they're too open to be able to make it to market. So I just summoned Nathan over. He's never seen a snapdragon probably in his life, so this will be fun. I'm talking about you.
Oh.
Yeah. Look, I harvested our first snapdragons.
Beautiful.
Have you ever seen a snap before?
I don't guess I have.
Yeah, I didn't figure that you had. How pretty are these though?
They are. Not much smell.
Smell that.
My sniffer?
Yeah, there's floral. There's floral. I was telling them that we were having this conversation of how, like, now that oh, what's going on? We're squatting?
I'm trying to get down to your level.
Okay. I was telling them that, like, now that I'm coming out to, like, harvest, to actually, like, sell, I'm feeling like a legit flower farmer.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, I even have, like, my tool belt. That makes me official right there. It's so funny though, like, I've sold produce for years and I just feel like this is a whole nother world, a totally different game. But like, I'm feeling in my element and I am excited. I'm already talking about a flower cat tunnel for in-ground production. Don't worry, that's way down on the priority list. If you caught our podcast episode, if you are an email subscriber, you know that, like, Daddy's getting his shed. We actually had a friend come out yesterday, and he's working on material list. So we're getting the shed working for Nathan. We're figuring out the outdoor space for the kitchen, and I feel good about that. So maybe, like, next year, I'll think about adding another tunnel.
We'll make it happen. We just...
Yeah.
Priorities.
Yep. But I cannot wait to be harvesting buckets of blooms.
Buckets of blooms.
Buckets of blooms. That's why I put my buckets of happy sticker on here.
Those are beautiful.
Oh yeah. And we've got some peach ones that are going to be stunning.
Yeah?
Yeah. I was kind of telling them we're in this weird in-between stage where, like, we're getting, like, you know, a bloom here, but then once we get through this awkward stage, everything will just be rocking and rolling. Yeah. All right, so Nathan is about to start working on all the steps to be able to bring home the thing that we bought. I can't wait to show you guys. I'm hoping it'll be the next vlog that you guys see. I'm sure he's real excited about getting to work doing what he's doing.
I am excited. I really am. I got a plan.
Well, I'm gonna follow your lead.
We gotta go
get it.
We gotta go talk to our neighbor about the other thing.
Oh, we got a lot of things, y'all. I don't know if y'all have been able to keep up with us. Sometimes we can barely keep up with ourselves. We are certainly not slowing down around here. We are in the business of just moving forward day by day. I like it.
I do too.
All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. Hopefully the tips and tricks on the daffodils was helpful. Hopefully if you're thinking about growing snapdragons, you'll do it. Remember, start small. Like, there is no shame in starting small. And so I just want to encourage you guys with that today. I know it's easy to see what everyone's doing. I can look at Florette's page and immediately want to, like, buy the entire Johnny's catalog out, but that's not feasible for me. We got a lot of other things going on.
That's right. You guys stay tuned in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have a few more video surprises. So.
Yeah. So we'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye, guys.